Hello, Nilesh. How are you, my friend?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you very much. And thanks for taking the time to join me in this episode of PhD Genius podcast. I really appreciate it. So, why not just start by introducing yourself, where you are located currently? Tell us about your PhD program, what was the thesis about, and then we will get to some other questions about your previous roles in industry and your current role. So, please.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and we know each other from really long time now. I think almost 8, 9 years, almost.
Yes, almost. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm Dr. Nilesh Barange, and originally I'm from India, central part of India. I did my master's and bachelor in India, in electronics background, and then work in research institute, one of the research institute in India, and then while working there, I got opportunity to do PhD in South Korea. So I got the opportunity just because of one of my professor. He was there and he said, Nilesh, if you are looking for to work in semiconductors, South Korea is the best place to work. And then I joined him, not in actually his department, but he recommended me to the different department. That's the physics department. I did my PhD, most of my coursework in institute, but all my research was in the Korea Institute of Science and Technology. That's a government institute in Korea. So, because my background is electronics and my actual PhD is in physics, so there was a mismatch. So I was towards more towards actual applied physics. So my professor there, he moved my all research activity into the Korean Institute of Science and Technology, where all applied physics related optoelectronics research is carried out. So coursework in university and all my research in KIST, and that's how I got involved into a lot of thin films. Uh, of course, in India, I was working on some semiconductor research, but this one more focus on optoelectronics devices. My PhD more thesis is based on optoelectronics devices like solar cell or a thin film, inorganic light emitting diodes, organic light emitting diodes, and uh, thesis and most of the research is in optoelectronics devices, sol gel type of solar cells and things like that. While working, I finished my PhD there, and then I got opportunity. Like I was looking for the new opportunity. I did 6 months postdoc also in KIST, looking for opportunity in US. Got postdoc position in North Carolina, and I spent almost 5.5 years there. Postdoc, research assistant professor, and again postdoc, and simultaneously working with some startup company, and then working towards that I got into the industry, and that's how the journey started into the industry. So
Okay,
right now
awesome.
I'm in North Carolina. Of course, I travel. My job were in Austin, Texas, some in Redmond, Washington State, and I did some remote with work with Georgia Tech also. But entire almost here in US 10 years, and most of the time I stayed in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay, awesome. So you have been everywhere, basically. So
Yeah.
that's great, right? So that's how we learn from, learning living and working in different companies, different locations. So that's
Yeah.
awesome. So can you tell us about the challenges that you may have faced when transitioning uh from academia to your first non-academic role? So do you remember what they were?
Yeah. So while working in NC State as a postdoc and research assistant professor, so in fact, inside that, while I was working at NCSU, that itself was challenging time because if you say anybody that oh you work 5.5 years as a postdoc, that's the one red flag for any industry, for that matter. But what I was doing while doing the postdoc there, I was working with some startup company, and the startup company was part like one of my professor there. He owned that company, and then I started to work on that one. And when you come here, you don't have any knowledge about how to transition from academy to industry, or what are the visa status and immigration things. A lot of things you don't know at all. So that's where your networking helps. So I was involved actively in postdoc association in NC State, And one of my friend, and he's in Virginia Tech now, he is really active in postdoc engagement activity. So I was engaged with that activity. I was in the part of that. And during that time also COVID hit. During COVID hit, I lost my job as a postdoc during that period of time because there was no funding. Then I got another job into postdoc as a remote job while at staying at during that COVID time at Georgia Tech, and simultaneously also doing another postdoc at NC State. So I was doing simultaneous two job, and that is people don't know that if you are in academy and on H-1B visa, you can have concurrent H-1B working with you. So you can work 40 hours with on your original H-1B and 20 hours on your concurrent H-1B, so that you financially you're well built up. That actually helped me getting into industry job. So
Mm,
during that 5.5 year, I got my green card, and then I applied for different industry positions. So everybody's question was, oh, that's a long time postdoc timing. But then you explain that what you did, what are your transferable skills, what you
mhm,
learned during all this 5.5 year. Then people that, of course, there is a negotiation because it's the first job. You can compromise on salary or things like that, but that's a huge step forward in going from industry academy to industry. Once you go into industry, of course, your all the PhD learning, it helps. And then you have to prove yourself that you are industry capable, because it's a time to market thing. In industry, in PhD, we take a couple of years to finish one project, and in industry it is couple of weeks you have to finish that project. So it is challenging, but definitely you have to convince HR and technical people that how your yeah, transferable skills are, what you learn during that time. It's not waste of time. You continuously learn during that process. So it was challenging, and of course, just because of the immigration issues as a foreigner, as well as your technical transferable skill. But it was I transferred it to Goodix Technology, and it was a CIS business. CIS is CMOS image sensor business, and it was initially only that period. Transition was initial difficult couple of months, but then after that it was a smooth ride from there.
mhm. Thank you very much. So, what skills from your PhD program or training proved most valuable outside academia when you transitioned? Because you have been on mostly on R&D based non-academic roles, as I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah,
Some of them may be research based, some of them may not be just research, but engineering, talking to clients, meeting their requirements and specs that the product, requires, things
yeah.
like that. So what were those like trainings that you brought from academia to non-academic roles?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So actually, when we do all research in academia, we don't have any time frame. We have loosely deadlines. But
Mhm,
when it is in industry, we have exact time frame. Your program is well designed to achieve goal deliverable. Everything is well structured. But in academy you don't have that much. It's like, of course, you have this project, and then maybe quarterly you have review or something, then you give, okay, this much is done and not. So in when while in academy, you have to set or improve your qualities, how you provide deliverables. So scope of your project, you define that very profoundly, and then you uh, put timeline on that, and then how you deliver that to your professor, and that
mhm,
you translate into the industry one. So of course the timeline here are loosely coupled in academia, like I said, but in industry you convert that long timeline into the shortest one. Also in academy, what we do, we put a lot of stuff on PowerPoint and try to explain everything in detail. But when you transfer into the industry, it's like they know you are a subject matter expert, but they also know, oh, what is the output of that one. So you need to explain that in the layman's term. So your project timeline, communication, and how is your interperson skills, that matters a lot in industry, because all your other customers, like customer in the sense that either outside company, or or even your teammate that they're not working or they're not expert into that one. You have to convey your technical skills into the layman's term, how you transition technical into the simple term, and that matters a lot. So on top of that, what I will suggest for fellow PhD, they're doing PhD or they're in postdoc, I'll suggest acquire new skill like
Mhm.
programming. Of course, now AI is there, but you don't need to code, but acquire that new skill, always upgrade that skill. So my hobby is that so my background is electronics, so my hobby is that I always create automation works. I design equipment for any characterization that I want to do. Like I want to automate everything. So that skill helped me in the next academy, and not in the first academy role, but also till now I automate a lot of things. So try to learn all these skills and implement that in your job for the academy or even for the industry, and that helps a lot.
Mhm. No, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you. So you mentioned something very important about deadlines and
yeah,
the project schedule and stuff like that, in academia we have more time. We have typically like
yeah,
3, 4, 5, even years of like time to do a project basically. And
yeah.
only direct report is the supervisor, right?
Yes.
So right when you are, but when you are in industry, like you mentioned, things that take months in academia have to be done in weeks and sometimes in days, because you're
Yeah,
working on a team, right? You're not alone. You're not by yourself as well. You get
yeah,
uh, support from some other colleagues, team
yeah.
members, other supervisors, managers, leadership, things like that. So, have you ever experienced any challenge regarding keeping up with the schedule when you worked in non-academic roles? So especially in your first role, to start like adapting to a new environment. So what was your experience about that?
Yes, so like I said in the previous talk also, or previous question also, that your like timeline, how you show your timeline, like achievable goals within that time frame, as well as the communication skill, that one is very important.
Hmm. Hmm.
So initially when because I was coming from the really long academic side, initially I had to tune with the industry. So my manager was really good, and I still talk with him even after 4 or 5 years of not working in the industry. But I still keep communication open with them. And so he explained me that, okay, of course you have really long academy. Now you have to think like a industry person. So
Hmm.
what you communicate in PowerPoint or document, it should be to the point, not too much research oriented information. To the point, okay, what is the scope of your project, what are the deliverable, what is the time frame, and you have to give plus minus 10% in that time frame, so that you have wiggle room, little bit wiggle room to reach that one. Of course, in a academy you don't have even really good tools. In industry, that's not true. You have tool like sophisticated tools, so there is less challenges to achieve that goals, but still you have to manage and to meet the goal of and the goal of your program, and you discuss everything with your program manager. That helps a lot. So of course your manager, it be open with him. So discuss that, okay, I'm not getting this thing, explain me how to get there, like get from A to B, how to go there. What is your expectation within 3 months, what is your expectation within 6 months? And once you tune into that industry mindset, I think then it is really high road from there.
Okay, awesome. No, thank you very much for elaborating on that. Yeah, you had mentioned something about that. I just wanted to uh, hear more about the way that you tackle those issues, basically. I mean, adapting to those new environments, basically, in terms of project schedule, communication, as you mentioned, dealing with supervisors, managers, and so. Thank you very
Yeah,
much. I think it's very important to. So, by the way, are any of these things, do you think we typically receive in academia from, because some universities have like this career training programs and stuff like that. Have you ever received such training previously in academia?
Like I said, I was actively engaged in postdoc engagement team with academia at NC State, and that helped me a lot develop a lot of networking. Also, of course, it was not in my field, but actually, it is better to engage in that activity so that you will let you know how your customers will talk to you. So because I'm from the physics and electronics
Mhm.
background, so I get to talk to social science postdocs, some bio related postdocs. What are their problems. Everybody talk, oh, we have big problem, but they have different challenges, so you get to learn from that thing. Or NC State, I think when I was there, they were conducting some like research grant writing, proposal writing kind of
Mhm.
activities,
Mhm.
so I engage into that one. Every month we had a postdoc meet. We used to meet from not only NC State postdoc, but the Duke postdoc and UNC postdoc. um, they're all total different background. One suggestion I will give to postdoc, especially postdoc, PhDs, definitely they have their lot of works, but postdoc, try to get engaged in all this activity, because postdoc is kind of twilight zone. They're not in academy and not in job, so that's the gray scale. So I'll suggest them to just go out, meet different people, so that you'll have open mind, and then you learn from a lot from there. And yeah, interestingly, you learn a lot from different postdocs.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So basically, it was a combination of your own experience, like you said, so you had the chance to work with the startup company during your postdoc, which was very
Yeah, yeah,
valuable,
yeah,
and some training provided by your institution. So
yes,
grant writing, proposal writing, stuff like that. So it was a
yes,
combination of both, basically.
yes,
Okay, fantastic. So what about the type of research we do, the differences between the type of research we do in academia and in industry. So as you may, I mean, I'm sure you definitely know more than 90 something percent of the research we do in academia never find their way into market, basically, because
yes.
most of them are done basically just for, advancement of science and engineering, for publications and stuff like that. And to be honest, it's not the goal of a PhD thesis, right?
Yeah,
So, and but because most of the research we do in academia, they're not scalable,
yes.
right? So, what's the type of research we do in academia in comparison to the type of research and R&D, product development, prototyping we do in a startup setting or in a like a larger corporation or industry? So, what are the differences typically?
Yeah, so there is actually a lot of similarities as well as huge difference between both academy as well as industry. I'll go from the academy. So academy, what we do, we have problem statement, or generally most of the time it is grant based research, or your supervisor, he provides, okay, this is the topic that we want to explore more. Search what are the flaws in the research, flaws in the device or research, and then work from there. Most of the time it is either funded project from the government or venture capital investments. So in and we have really long timeline for that year or two to achieve that goal. So we tackle in academia that problem very slowly. Okay, what is that type and things like that, very very slowly. In industry, it's exactly opposite. There is exact time frame for each one, and they they calculate everything based on the how much ROI we get, like how much funding we are putting in there and how much output we'll get out of that. So
Mhm.
if industry spends $1, they want to earn $10 out of that research. So because of that, you have to produce very fast in industry to get that product done and then earn from that product. One important thing between the academy as well as industry is that how much repeatability you can achieve in industry. Let's say even if it is 10% efficiency of any optoelectronics devices, in
Mhm.
academy what we do, we fabricate 10 different samples and we choose best out of it. In
For
industry they don't do.
publications, right?
Yeah, for publications. And but in industry that's not the case. We don't choose best, best out of it. We choose standard deviation, or what is the maximum yield, or which one is the consistent result. We choose that. We don't care about like highest, brightest, or best out of that. We need consistent. So industry, that's what we need, and that's a major difference. So of course, fast paced places like Meta and things like that, of course it is very challenging to work in the fast paced environment. But yeah, you seasoned from PhD and postdoc, and then you go into the industry, you will beat a lot of population that they are just coming from the master's background. Definitely you have edge there, and you will perform better in this type of situations.
Mhm. No, that's awesome. No, that's exactly right. So these are the nuances of working in industry, doing research in industry compared
Yeah.
to what we do in academia. So that's awesome. Thank you. And let me ask you this question. Maybe it's a little bit off the topic, but so when you are, for example, you have planned for a project, something that, tasks are clear, so things that you will be doing in the
Mhm.
project or as part of the team or maybe individually, depending on the type of the project. So what do you do typically if you are like behind the schedule or you are not on budget? So how do you tackle with this project management details when you are, taking on a new project and you are behind or, like I said, you are over budget or things like that?
Yeah, that's a really nice question. So actually, even if we plan everything in industry, that everything we plan perfectly, that this is going to happen, but yeah, end of the day, there are so many things that we don't consider. Just like weather is not good, or something happens like natural calamities, or even in the like equipment failure. So we don't. We definitely like FEMA. That's a methodology like failure analysis. We have that risk analysis before project started, but still something happens in during the process. So what is best scenario we can do is that try to figure out as soon as possible and isolate that product or that process during it is happening. As soon as you figure out that this is the problem, you isolate that, work on that, and then of course budget is constant. If it is delaying significantly, then you have to convince either your upstream or downstream that okay, this is a bottleneck right now, and how you don't go with the problem, go with the solution. So okay, this is the problem, this is the time will, this is the amount of money or time will be taken, and then this is a solution. Approve or not approve, of course, because everybody understand that end goal is that, but they have to then okay delay next process. They will not start until this process is done. So all this thing, even if it is perfectly planned, this happens. And I can give the example like we had some project, and then we were working that okay, this is the timeline, and everything was working fine. And then suddenly we realized that one of the glue that we attach display to lenses, that was tearing apart in the middle of process, and we did not realize that because it was the overheating of next process.
Mhm.
So yeah, it failed, and we of course everybody thought that, and we did all the DOEs before going for the production, but still in the process some minute changes, and then it failed. So definitely we figure out, then we changed that glue, we did multiple DOE, and this is over weekend. Not even, and because we have to finish the deadline, so we have to, and this is not only me that going to into the lab during the weekend, even in the industry, that so many other teammates that they were working on the equipment, they reach out to different team that organize everything, emergency plans, and then they figure out dispensing, and then change the new glue, and then the process starts. Of course there is a plan for all this ABC errors. Let's say if this happens, then you go for this one. And I think and you did program management, and you know how to plan everything. What I can suggest in this one, also take some Udemy courses or any other courses for program management, or something like um, team building. So this helps to understanding the industry languages.
Mhm. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. You mentioned a couple of very important things. Basically, you touched on communication, you know, uh, industry mindset, and problem solving and stuff like that. How much critical thinking do you use in your current role, for example? So what does critical thinking mean in in your new role?
Yeah, so actually, the past role that I was working with, you have to think because you have PhD background, so you think definitely more than other people. Definitely, it's like, and that's the one very important point. So that
Thinking
even if
or
there is,
overthinking? Which one?
yeah, overthinking is good for the if you are in the product one, because you ask a lot of questions, and that solves a lot of.
Right.
So if you ask correct question, then half of the problems already solved. So my current role, I used to get specs from the customer, and they are tier one automotive display customers, and they care about penny by penny expenses on each development, because the more compact or more specs they get, they will have their benefits or ROI on that product. So getting specs from them, you have to be critical, like, okay, what you want, why you want, how you want. So everything you get that one, and then because now you have to go to vendor, and then vendor you have to get that specification done from them. You have to convince that okay, I want this one, this one, this one, and they will ask same question to you, why you want this one, why you want this one. So that criticality into your questionnaire, it helps a lot.
Awesome. So how do you deal with non-technical people? Because not all these customers or stakeholders are technical people. Some of them are like have like background in finance, business development.
Yes.
They're from leadership roles. So how do you deal with these people in terms of explaining super complex technical stuff to non-technical people?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So, and that definitely everybody will struggle to do that in their lifetime or even a job profile. So even with your friend, what you do, so how you translate your what's your skill and what you do, and or how you communicate that is very important. So talking with sales, what they care about, okay, this is the product and these are the specification, how much I'm going to sell them. So you need to convince that, okay, you can't tell them that, okay, why this is happening. Let's say if your brightness is this one, why that brightness is this one and that one. So you said, no, just a key point, these are the key point, and that's what the customer you need to, if they dig, they want to know more, then the engineering, involve the engineering team into that one. So, and now management, what management care about more is like, they care about their timeline, their goals and their deliverable. As an engineer, you need to reach that goal and tell them that, okay, I have to do XYZ experiment, it will take this much time, it will take this much amount of money, and this was engineering hour. Tell them that the clear thing. And now going to talk to engineer, you'll say, okay, I want to do these things, let me know how many hours it will take. So you have to break down all these things into the small pieces, like, so as a suggestion, I think, as a PhD student or jumping into the academy to industry, you talk to your manager and the superior, and get their expectation clear from your side, and then go from there. So it will be easy to navigate into your role.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So I assume that you're working on a team right now, or you have previously worked on teams I mean, your non-academic roles. So
Yeah.
sometimes, conflicts are inevitable sometimes. There's conflicts on teams, I mean, in terms of technical aspects of the project, and could be like non-technical as well. You
Yeah.
are behind the schedule, you are over budget, or things like that. And sometimes people start blaming each other instead of taking responsibility and holding themselves accountable as well, or improving their own soft skills that are very important. So what are your experiences on those things? Maybe you can come up with some like examples if you're comfortable with, or you can just provide a generic answer as you will.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really interesting question, because if you are in the any even academy or academic or even industry, uh, challenges are there definitely, with the team, your partners. So in what project management style, you have one input and then processes you do, and then one how output and the customers. So in anywhere you go, There is one as a input, and then there is a customer, and you could be customer for somebody else. So whoever is input, you are customer for that input. And in and that is true for any your personal life also. You go to shopping, you are customer, they are their source. So but there are challenges all over, and that happens because you're working on the edge, like really technology edge, and a lot of things happen with respect to time, data sharing, and a lot of things. So what you have to do, that when before even going for the actual project, what my strategy is, that get the clear communication done with your partners, we call xfn, or partners, or customers. What are their expectation, what are their timeline? Get that converted into your timeline, and if it is matches, if there is no mismatch, you can discuss before everything start. Okay, what happens, let's say if delay happen, what will do? What if it is early, not only delay, like sometime we do it beforehand, so what happens in that case? So we think, like brainstorm on these things. Once everything is settled, and then we act on this one. Still, even everything is smooth, there are some natural things, equipment or delay or geopolitical things happen. You can't predict these things. So in that case, what is the clear communication? Okay, this is what we are supposed to give, like combined goal, that this is what we are supposed to do. We didn't do this one. These are the challenges, and this is what we can do. And then try to communicate with this. I know, like this, there is always happens that, oh, blaming or something, but that is not going to be solution. So only discussion and coming into solution, that is what people do. We did so I was doing a project with the goodies, and definitely there are some vendors in Asia. We had issue with that, getting data from them, because it's a very big organization, and getting data from them just because of some like hidden data collection, or it is very difficult to get the data from them. So what we used to do, okay, don't give data, just give us end product, and then we extract data, because in simulation we need some optical constant, so it is very difficult to get directly from that vendor. So what we can do, just get the things done and then extract the data, and they were okay with that thing. So clear communication and the combined goal, that is what you have to plan from the beginning of product, and then figure out what if scenarios with your vendor.
Okay, thank you very much. That was interesting. So, just out of curiosity, do you work in a like more waterfall form of project management, or like more agile or hybrid? So it's just like you deliver everything in one go, or it's like iteration and small releases?
Yeah. So there it is, I think, hybrid
Hybrid.
type of structure, because with R&D, the type of R&D I'm working, there is no waterfall type of structure we can
Mhm.
adapt, because things can happen during time. So hybrid is more like hybrid type of structure. It is
Mhm.
more adaptable in my line of work.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, we are almost nearing the end of the conversation. So I was going to ask you about you kind of like touched on the networking part. So
Yeah.
as you definitely know, so most PhDs wait until they graduate, and then they start acquiring the skills that you mentioned that they need to acquire during their PhD, or networking, connecting with people. And not every PhD has the opportunity to work with industry during their PhD or during their postdoc.
Correct.
So, what's your advice to PhDs in terms of like preparation for non-academic jobs? And as we know, the number of academic jobs are very, very limited compared to the
Yes.
number of PhD graduates. So, what are your
Yeah.
like experiences, and what's your advice to PhDs that are
Yeah.
preparing for non-academic roles?
Yeah. So that's really interesting, because as a PhD student and going for the postdoc, we have we in our group or in lab. I think I spend so many Saturdays and Sundays and even nighttime in lab. we focus a lot on that problem solving and doing our PhD, but there is a world after that. So what I'll say, initially PhD, once your coursework is done, I'll suggest to join like LinkedIn, reach out to people that working in the similar field, and most importantly, conferences we don't value too much, but conferences, going for conferences, I even if you don't have your publication there, you try to go to that conference related to your field. That helps a lot in networking. And don't go for like, I'm looking for a job or something. No, just go and try to have conversation on topics related to your product and like research, and see how in other people are doing, what are their challenges, and how you can think about their challenges or solution, and grow your network into the same field. Because in future, most of the field are like very small, narrow now. Like I know people from 10 years, and they're, every time I go conferences I see similar faces, but it's just like catching up with them every year. So it's like, it's a get together every time, and just go and have conversation what type of research they are doing. So I'll suggest to go conference, even if it is not in you have publishing or you are talking. But of course I'll encourage to publish, talk. Posters are really good, because then you are open for conversations, there more conversation. And LinkedIn also, let's say if you want to go particular industry, I'll suggest go into that industry and see what type of research they are doing. Try to reach out to people that, okay, I see your research is in this field, I'm doing this thing, and just start conversation and have that conversation for many years. Like I know, like you, I know you from 6 7 years now, and we don't talk, but at least once a year, or like 6 months we just ping each other what's going on. So that goes long way. And and that goes really long way. So I know people from all my PhD, and I'm still talking with them, and similarly I'm making new friends always in the similar field, and that helps a lot. Even not for the job, let's say if you in something like, you open industry in some awesome field, now you need to talk to, okay, this is my product, where I'm going to reach out to people like, these are your friend you're making, right? Oh, I have this product, they'll come, and oh, I know this guy, he's working on something like this. That's how like networking starts. So it's very like beginning of your PhD, that's where the best time, that you're not looking for a job or something, but that's where people are more open to have a conversation with you.
Awesome. Thank you. Uh, have you ever thought of like starting a company for yourself, like starting a startup company, or becoming a co-founder in a company? Has it ever crossed your mind before, or are you
So
still
many times.
thinking about it?
So many times, yes.
Anytime.
So initially, so we have to be in your career, like there your daily financial burden is not there. Once you are
Mhm.
there, then you start about thinking about companies. So of course I'm still thinking, and maybe I'll start soon, and then I'll let you know.
Okay, that's awesome. So as a part of this community, we started for PhDs, as you know. So it's not just about like transitioning from academia to non-academic roles, but partly starting a new company, new business,
Yes.
entrepreneurship and things like that. Because we always talk about finding a job, but we
Yes.
rarely think about entrepreneurship or starting our own business, which comes with a lot of risk and perseverance, sacrifice and things like that, as you mentioned. But in this community, we're trying to open conversations about those things. And some PhDs have basically don't have any idea about those things. They just know
Right.
about their field and nothing about running a business, starting a business, about accounting, finance, IP, fundraising, writing grants, talking to VCs,
Yes.
for example, venture capitalists, or investors, getting a loan, for example, for a venture, and the list goes on and on, marketing, sales, things like that.
Yeah.
In this community, we want to like open conversations about those things as well, to leave our options open, basically,
Yes.
not just think narrowly about finding a job. What if your
Yeah.
job or the type of research that you are doing is taken by AI in the future? What
Yes.
would you
Yeah,
do,
that's true. Yeah.
right? So you will be
Yeah.
left with no option, right? So
Yes.
why not just leave your options open, as you mentioned very, very precisely, acquire new skills and don't wait until you have to.
Yes.
Okay, that
Yeah.
is called preparation because
Yeah.
opportunity, and people talk about chance, right? Chance comes to people who are prepared.
Yes.
Okay, let's say you have like XYZ skills and you're not using those skills in your current role. You may not ever need those skills in your what
Right.
you are doing right now. But you never know if you would need those skills in the future if an opportunity comes up, for example, and you will be
Yeah.
prepared for it, right?
Yes.
These are things that, we're going to talk about this in this PhD community, which is also global. I'm trying to,
Yeah.
have conversations with PhDs in different countries, not just in Canada and US, but everywhere, right? And I'm
Yes.
happy that more people are joining, but they need to learn more about the community and, understand what the scope of the community is, what we're looking for, and not just like a simple like career transitioning route.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
like that.
Yes. Yeah.
So, but I really appreciated Nilesh. So we covered a lot of interesting things. I'm very
Thank
happy.
you. Yeah.
So I know how intelligent you are, how experienced
Thank
you
you
are.
so much.
So, and I truly appreciate it. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about and I didn't ask?
No, no, that's perfectly fine. I really like your initiative in this matter, and I know, like, I agree with what you're saying that not only transition, but if you want to start anything, startup or something, so the team like you and I know you have been working on this background. Like, I know I follow your page from many years, and now I know you were in the startups and now started your business and now this one activity. So it's really interesting for other team or similar like-minded people that okay, join this group and then okay, ask for something like okay, I want to start this one, I want to do this one. I And this is very like, this is where the communicate like all this networking comes into picture, that okay, I know this guy, he's working in the xyz expertise, and okay, I can just take help. And that's what I do even with I take softwares, like people in software team or something. I need some idea, oh, they know better than me, so I always take their help. So this is really nice initiative, and hopefully, yeah, it's a best of luck for all the you and your team to succeed in this one.
Oh, thank you very much. I truly appreciate it.
Thank
And basically, I'm creating a big course on critical thinking. I'm not
you.
sure if you received the emails because you are in the community, but I've
Yes.
uploaded
Yeah.
a couple of modules now. I'm making it
Hmm.
big in different levels. And,
Hmm.
conversations like this help me to create those
Yes.
courses for the community because
Yeah.
I'm making it in very practical. I'm trying to teach the course by examples from
Yes.
industry, from consulting, from nonprofits, many different things. Whatever comes to my mind, I just try to create some practical courses, not just some
Yeah.
like dry academic language. It's not
Yeah.
like that. But I truly appreciate because, like I said, these conversations help me to see what other PhDs think about critical thinking, problem
Right.
solving, dealing
Yes.
with non-technical people,
Hmm.
project management, communication, and soft skills in general. Thank you very much, Nilesh. I appreciate it,
Yeah.
and hopefully we can hop on another call sometime,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah. Sure.
following
No
months
problem.
to see
Yeah.
how things are going, and then I wish you the best.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you very much.